So, my dear brothers and sisters, it's another wonderful day again that the Lord has actually provided for us. And today I've actually followed President Uchtdorf at a time when he actually went to Los Angeles World Affairs Council. That is where he was actually invited, and he went there to address the Los Angeles World Affairs Council. Can you imagine? An apostle of the Lord has been invited to address. And I followed up to find out, to just listen to what he had actually to say. And please, without further ado, just join me so that we can actually be able to listen to President Uchtdorf.
Thank you so much for this wonderful welcome, and really appreciate these kind words, Curtis. Thank you for this marvelous organization tonight. I could easily recognize that you have all this done before. This runs really like clockwork. I would say German, no, Swiss clockwork, right? Yeah. Well, let's stay internationally neutral in this case, and it's marvelous to be with you. Thank you again, Curtis, for the invitation. Thank you to all of you to come here tonight. Thank you to Rusty Butler, who was one of the initiator, and of course our Matt Ball, and many, many more. We saw so many familiar faces, friends, and my wife and I, Harriet and I, are grateful to be with you tonight. It was wonderful to be with you in the reception line and take pictures, and we wish we could spend more time on a one-on-one basis. I'm deeply impressed and delighted and honored to be with you tonight. It is indeed a privilege to be in the company of such a distinguished international group of community, business, and church leaders. And I realize that I'm amazed about it, and I'm humbled to be in this, in the presence and participating in this organization, which is indeed impressive and provides such a wonderful forum of meaningful dialogue and debate. The list of past speakers in this group here is just very humbling, and especially when I think back and think about our own beloved President Gordon B. Hinckley, who addressed this forum twice. And I certainly love him and admire him, and again give thanks to all of you. It's amazing when you stand here as a German kid who was born in Czechoslovakia and then grew up in East Germany and flew some time in the German Air Force and earned his wings, these Air Force wings, in the United States Air Force. So the world is small and nations grow closer together. And I think that is one of the reasons why you are here and assembling such a group of diverse and united people with good intent. It is truly, when I met with some of you tonight and you mentioned your place of birth and your home and your nation, that my wife and I, we immediately thought, boy, yes, we went there when I was flying for Lufthansa, many of those destinations. We enjoyed not only the beauty of the world, but the beauty of the people. That is the major part of human experiences. So thank you again for being here. And sometimes the kind words of Curtis in regard to my past experience and my responsibilities now, I try to explain it sometimes to people. Well, it's actually pretty easy. You go from the cockpit to the pulpit. You stay in pits, right? So as a former pilot, as I said, let me begin by making reference to a recent visit my wife, Harriet, and I made to the Wright Brothers National Memorial at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. As a lifelong aviation aficionado, I have had this for a long time as an open item on my bucket list. I finally were there and could check it off. And we all know when you grow older and the hair gets gray that time flies. And I had to hurry to get this done. Sometimes when I talk to people and tell them that I flew in the German Air Force, the younger ones ask me, did you fly in the First or in the Second World War? And the funny thing is that young people, when I tell them the joke, they don't even laugh about it. So for those interested in the history of aviation, Kill Devil Hills near Kitty Hawk is a place of great significance for aviation. Over a century ago, on a windy mid-December day, on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, two brothers, humble operators of a bicycle shop, but men with a vision and a dream, accomplished a feat that changed the world. On December 17, 1903, Wilbur and Orville Wright made the first successful powered airplane flight. The flight lasted 12 seconds and covered 120 feet. I flew the 747 for many, many years as a captain. The 747 is almost twice that long, 232 feet. They did 12 seconds, 120 feet back then. But only 5 other persons were there to witness this historic event. Initially, the news attracted little public excitement or attention. It was only much later that the world recognized the significance of this marvelous event. Fast forward 100 years, and the skies are filled with airplanes that carry millions of passengers and tons of cargo over billions of miles every year. They connect people of all nations. They connect them as individuals, but also collectively as nations. They connect languages, cultures throughout the world. All this came about because the foundational principles of powered flight were put into practical application by 2 visionary men. Now let me try to make a connection to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. First, I would like to address a couple of thoughts on growth and on general principles the Church stands for. And secondly, on moral and ethical applications of its teachings. It was in April of 1830 when Joseph Smith, a man with a profound and eternal vision, assembled 5 associates in upstate New York to organize and restore the original Church of Jesus Christ. As with man flight, the church's beginning was modest and simple and humble. Only a few people took notice. Joseph Smith himself came from a humble background. He was the son of a poor farmer. As a child, he worked in the fields and had little opportunity for formal education. But it was from these humble and obscure beginnings that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints took root. Because these events occurred in the United States, people often think of us as an American church. The church was established in the United States in large part because it was here that the most favorable circumstances, including basic principles and especially the freedom of religion, was there. Today, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a global church. The principles and doctrines it teaches have the potential and power to benefit and uplift the people of every nation, race, and culture. The church has grown, as you just heard a minute ago, in a remarkable way since its founding with 6 members in 1830. When Utah became a state in 1896, church membership totaled around 250,000 in 1896. 250,000. It took 117 years, from 1830 to 1947, to reach the 1 million mark. As a matter of fact, my family joined the church in 1947. That is, everyone except myself, because I was too young then. I had to wait almost 2 years to be baptized, because we don't baptize before someone is at least 8 years old. Now, the membership doubled to 2 million after that in just 17 years. So another 1 million in only 17 years. And since 1997, the majority of church members live outside the United States. That growth continues to increase significantly through the world. Global membership now stands at over 14 million. Church members live in 184 countries. They speak approximately 170 different languages. Church materials have been translated and are translated all the time into 166 languages. To provide places of worship for its ever-growing membership, the church averages a completion of a new chapel about every second weekday. This is made possible through the tithes of faithful members. It comes from observance of the ancient law, as mentioned in the Old Testament, of the tithe. In Malachi, we can read about this. This law is set forth in 35 words in our scriptures. Compare that with the rules and regulations of the IRS. But it is important to recognize that the growth of the church is not merely about numbers of members, languages, and buildings. Our mission is to bring souls unto Christ. That is the important part. And thereby improve the lives of our fellow men. We teach, support, and encourage all men, women, and children to draw near to God and live charitable and honorable lives. We emphasize the importance of families and declare that no other success can compensate for failure in the home. We believe that happiness in family life is most likely to be achieved when founded upon the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ, and that successful marriages and families are established and maintained on principles of faith, prayer, repentance, forgiveness, respect, love, compassion, work, and wholesome recreational activities. While love for family is certainly not unique to Latter-day Saints, as we all know, and you are good examples for these principles, our conviction that families can be together forever has a doctrinal foundation that is unique to the restored church. Through restored priesthood authority, we unite families together not only for this mortality, but throughout eternity. And this is what our temples are all about, which you see around the globe. This is the same authority given to the apostles of old and a distinctive doctrine associated with these specific temples. Now, as the church expands throughout the world, there's a great need for local leadership. Local leadership. Few people outside the church know that nearly all who serve in our church do so without monetary compensation. We have no paid ministry. Our bishops, these are leaders of local congregations of about 400 members, may be plumbers, doctors, truck drivers, teachers, or accountants, or pilots. It may well be that some of those here tonight have served or are serving as bishops of these congregations, and you might ask some on your tables. We offer opportunities for leadership and growth for men, women, and our youth. It is expected that every member contributes in some way. When we assemble, we do not hear a sermon from paid professionals. Ward members, men and women, young and old, teach from the pulpit and in our classrooms. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints emphasizes the importance of continued secular and religious education. The Church's higher education system, some of you know about this quite well, serves over 40,000 students on its 4 campuses, which include Brigham Young University in Provo, BYU Idaho, which is growing greatly, and if anyone comes to Rexburg, it's worth taking a look at what's happening there. BYU Hawaii, which is serving, of course, the Pacific and the Pacific Rim, and is planned to be extended quite a bit. And, of course, the LDS Business College in Salt Lake City. For the 2nd year in a row, Brigham Young University is the most popular university in America based on the proportion of students accepted to a school who opt to attend. So students must like it there. BYU edged in this comparison out Harvard in this year's ranking. The BYU Merit School of Management is consistently among the top-ranked business programs of the world. And of course, and here comes the most important information in regard to our schools, for the 13th straight year, Princeton Review's survey of 120,000 college students named BYU as the most stone-cold and sober university in the nation. Students at BYU are chucking more milk and less beer than any of their peers on any other campus. The church also provides religious education in high schools and colleges through our seminaries and institutes of religion. Almost 750,000, 750,000 high school and college-age students attend our programs worldwide. One of the most inspired and inspiring developments of recent years is the Perpetual Education Fund, established to assist young people in parts of the world where opportunities for education are limited. This fund provides educational loans at minimal interest to individuals so they can receive education and training and qualify for good jobs in their own countries. It's mainly a vocational help. And our beloved President Hinckley, who has been with you twice, was the initiator of this great program. And some of you know some of those who are serving, again, as volunteers, organizing and managing this great undertaking worldwide. We receive more and more requests from different nations around the globe to be included in this program, but we're careful to move forward slowly to make sure that we can fulfill the promises we give. After the student completes school or vocational training, he or she typically repays the loan over an 8-year period. This money is placed back into the fund, which will benefit tens of thousands of future applicants. Many of you might have heard, and Curtis was so kind to mention a couple of those things, of our welfare program and our worldwide humanitarian outreach. Just a few days ago, by the way, LDS Charities, which is greatly involved, of course, in this, got a special accreditation as a consultant to the United Nations because of their great experience and successes in this field. These programs were established to improve the lives of our fellow men. To that end, we teach our members to become self-reliant, not dependent, self-reliant, and reach out to bless others. Being continuously engaged in improving the lives of our fellow men is not just theological theory, which it easily may become, but rather an application of the gospel's core doctrines. The more our hearts are inclined to God, the more we desire to relieve suffering and help others become self-reliant. It was 75 years ago, this year, 75 years ago, during the Great Depression, when the church formed a welfare program for our church members, for our own church members, in which the strong help the weak, and together they all learn how to help themselves. That initiative gave birth to our farms, to our canneries, to our storehouses, to our employment centers, and to our counseling services all around the globe. In 1985, when a famine ravaged Africa, the Church Humanitarian Program was created, reaching far beyond the membership of our faith. This program has blessed the lives of more than 27 million people in 178 countries throughout the world, regardless of their nationality, race, religion, or politics. We try to follow the counsel of Joseph Smith, who taught already in 1840 that a man filled with the love of God is not content with blessing his own family alone, but ranges through the whole world, anxious to bless the whole human race. The church does not wait for a disaster to strike before it mobilizes pallets of clothing, blankets, food, medicine, bandages, cleaning kits, shovels, and tarps, which are always being prepared for the next earthquake, flood, famine, or fire. And just the last few days, our people were on the road again. Over the last 25 years, the church has responded to almost 2,000 emergencies worldwide. And we try not just to come in as long as the cameras are there. We like to stay till the job is done. We have learned that we are most effective in our humanitarian efforts when we focus on long-term goals. After careful review, we have chosen as core projects, not just emergency, but core long-term projects in humanitarian efforts, eye or vision care, wheelchairs, training for medical professionals to save the lives of newborns, clean water, and immunization. And you can find on the websites of the church a lot about these projects. As the church goes about relieving suffering and helping those in need, it attempts to leave the people in a better position to help themselves, so that they are less dependent on others. That's the important part there. One typical example is a water project, which I want to mention, and there are many other ones I could mention to you, of a water project in central Kenya. And I just saw today the General Consul from Kenya. Beautiful country, most beautiful country. My wife and I love it dearly. 55,000 people in 60 villages benefited from this effort. The great need in this area was for clean sanitary water. Countless people had become sick and many had died as a result of polluted or infected water. The church agreed with village leaders to provide the labor, the expertise by the church, and the labor by the village. And materials would also come from the church. Village volunteers dug wells using very basic tools, sometimes hammers, chisels. That was not an easy task, as one well takes 3 to 6 months, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day to dig. So they had to work hard, and they did. After the digging was completed, a water pump was installed. The church provided the water pump and the expertise. A crucial part of the church participation was to help the local people learn to manage the operation, maintenance, and repair of the wells. That in the future, those Sophisticated pumps would not sit there without being repaired when there was a need. This partnership created a self-sustaining project that not only blesses the lives of the villagers today, but will benefit them for decades to come. The church and its members try to follow the Savior's admonition to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and otherwise care for the less fortunate. 100% of the donations given to the Church Humanitarian Service Fund are used for relief efforts. 100%. The church absorbs its own overhead costs. So all donations go 100% to the wonderful programs and the relief efforts. Now, let me share.
So, my dear brothers and sisters, you've heard what exactly Elder Uchtdorf is actually explaining, what the church is actually doing. And there are quite a number of things that the church has done, a lot of things. And for those who are still doubting what the church is capable of doing, then I think they need actually to do their research properly. And for the project that is mentioning in Kenya, there have been quite a number of projects that the church has actually overseen, especially in actually, digging wells, providing water for schools, for communities, and also for other, other agricultural, functions for different communities too. So what the church has done, it has actually done a lot of things, and just to mention but a few, that President Uchtdorf is actually mentioning some of the greatest things that the church has contributed in ensuring that lives have been actually secured, and lives have been actually blessed. And as for me, I am so much grateful for PEF, very, very much grateful for PEF, because I've been a beneficiary of PEF after finishing a mission. I was actually out. I didn't know what exactly was supposed to do. I didn't know what next and all that. But when President Hinckley announced the PEF, Perpetual Education Fund for returned missionaries, that is when now we felt like at least the light at the end of the tunnel has actually been realized in our lives. And at times I always wonder, if were it not for PEF, I do not know where I would be right now. It is actually very, very great and wonderful to know that we have leaders in the church who are actually inspired, and everything they come up with, or anything they announce, it is actually an inspired program from the Lord Himself. And I see PEF has continued even to bless not only me, but it has blessed a lot of people that I see every now and then. They come from missions, they join, they get PEF, they go better their skills in school, and after that they acquire, a good job. Some of them become self-reliant, they become self-employed by the skills they've received. Which is actually a very wonderful and a great thing that the church is doing. And that one, I will forever be indebted to the church and even to the prophet, who was President Gordon B. Hinckley, who has actually initiated this program that is blessing lives today. Otherwise, my dear brothers and sisters, I will feel like I will just stop here because of an unavoidable circumstance. It is actually raining very much in my country. A lot of people are really experiencing floods, and we do not know if our members have been affected in this flood. That's why I'm stopping here, so that I can actually have a meeting with some of my wonderful brothers and sisters, so that we can see the way out on how our members can be actually helped. Yeah, because the rains are really falling, and quite a number of households have been swept away by the rains. And as of now, as we are talking, the country has lost about, I think, 100 people right now. Over 100 people have lost their lives because they were swept by the waters. And babies have not actually been found because people have lost their children. Houses actually have been submerged in the waters, and at times even I was being told that there are couples who are, are sleeping on top of the roof because the entire house was covered by water. Now that is what is happening now in the country, and especially Nairobi. It's fully much affected. So that is why we just want to sit down and find out if any of our members who have been affected so that we can act quickly. Otherwise, thank you very much, my dear brothers and sisters, and I'm looking forward to see you again next time. Thank you.